Yeah, I mean, I think it's more a case of where do Visma go from here, because, we saw Jonas doing everything in his power the first few days to remain at 0 time to Tadej. And he was right on his back wheel the whole time, finished second to him, finished third up that climb yesterday. When Tadej moved on that climb, Jonas was right on him, and he was doing everything in his powers to minimise losing any time whatsoever. So today he's took a packet of time. So did Jonas expect to be in the position he's in now, or was this anticipated from Jonas? Only Jonas will be able to tell you that. If he expected to get closer to Tadej than he did, or if not beat him, then he's got to now contemplate where do I go from here, and that is a team thing now, because Matteo is right on his heels, and as Matteo has shown this year and last year, he's capable of a podium in this Tour de France.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Move podcast, talking about stage 5. Alain, where'd we go?
Stage 5 from Caen to Caen. From Caen to Caen.
Pretty easy day for Alain, that one, Remco Evenepoel proving why he is the Olympic champion and the world champion in the time trial. Exceptional performance. But actually, I guess it was a day of quite a few exceptional performances and some not so exceptional performances. We're going to get into all that. But before we do, today's show brought to you by Zwift. Hey, y'all see those cool headphones that Alpecin was rocking during the warm-up? Got them right here in front of us. So Zwift is, and this is new intel for me, coming out with headphones. And I always thought about this. Like if you're on Zwift and whatever headphone you're using and you're indoors, right? You can have all the fans on you want, but you're sweating like crazy. They decided to fix that situation. Waterproof, sweatproof, extreme noise canceling, premium sound, ultra long battery life. Better for you, George. Since George is doing like 6 hour days.
Premium sound. They sound amazing.
You checked them out?
Yeah.
You already hooked them up?
Oh, yeah.
By the way, too, Remco Evenepoel, today's winner, is a level 46 on Zwift with over 9,000 kilometers ridden. Cool thing is you don't have to stop at any red lights. You don't have to dodge any cars. Plus, it's a great community. I would love one day for Remco to join us for one of the WEDÖ Wednesday club rides or the Suffer Sundays. They're doing good stuff over there at Zwift. Also today, speaking of sweat.
I'm a level 47. I just checked.
Are you level 47 and he's level 46?
There's no way. Yeah, I guess so.
And before we went on the show, we were just discussing, just a side note, I rode with George yesterday, and at the top, we did a long climb. And
he dumped me, y'all. He dumped me. He said he no longer wants to ride with me.
No, at the top, cool. I got half-wheeled, and this isn't a joke. I was half-wheeled the entire way up the climb.
So not true.
And I wasn't happy. I just wasn't enjoying it. Right at this point in our lives, we should enjoy riding, and I hated every second of it. And I got up there and I said, I think I'm done riding with you. So I mean it. And I'm not. You don't even have anything to say. And I
said I was highly disappointed by that comment, and I hope that it's not true, and that we do some more riding this month.
And I was sweating my face off. So you know what I went to? I went to Element. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, no sugar, no gluten, no artificial ingredients, no BS. It is our go-to hydration and rehydration source. Get a free 8-count sample pack of Element's most popular drink mix flavors with any purchase at drinklmnt.com/themove. Find your favorite Element flavor or share with a friend. Also, be sure to try the new Element Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water. What is it they used to say? Stay salty. Stay salty, my friends. Also today brought to you by Ekoi. We got the Ekoi time trial helmet here on the desk. There's been a lot of evolution in these time trial helmets. This one looks pretty insanely fast. Ekoi is a leading brand in Europe specializing in cycling equipment from head to toe. It is one of the few brands that truly develops its products in close collaboration with professional athletes across all disciplines: road, triathlon, gravel, and mountain bike. Ekoi is the most represented brand in the Tour de France with 4 teams wearing their products: Israel Premier Tech, Lotto Destiny, Arkea B&B Hotels, and Cofidis. Their products are available exclusively online at Ekoi. That's EKOI, ekoi.com. First, and one of the most important things is what you all shop around online. Ekoi not only really pushes their product on the development and testing side, but is unbeatable when it comes to value for your money. The entire Ekoi website is currently on sale to the end of July. Head on over to ekoi.com. Use the code THEMOVE15. That gets you $15 off any purchase over 150 or more. Remco was great. I mean, you think about it, right? That way, of course, this is bike racing, but if you think about the day he doesn't lose 39 seconds, this puts him into the jersey. But he was exceptional. It's amazing to me, these smaller guys nowadays. We saw an early ride by Feeney. He sat on the hot seat. I love how the Tour now has, all the races have the hot seat. You got to sit there until somebody beats your time. He sat there for 3 hours until Remco came along.
Yeah, Remco, I mean, he showed us today why he is the champion he is. And, to execute a performance like that after the last few days where he had a tumble, lost some time, he lost 3 seconds in that final run-in yesterday, to get himself together, to compose himself, to go outside of the GC battle, as it were. He went off before those guys because of his GC position. Against Feeney, who went off earlier in the day where the weather changed a little bit in terms of wind direction, and to execute a performance like that, knowing he was down at those first few splits on a Feeney, but to put that, from the third split to the finish together the way he did, his judgment in the corners, the race line he was taking, it was fantastic, and it was a real great performance from Remco, and he's put himself right back now in the mix for the next few weeks.
Yeah, and I agree. He held his composure, like you said yesterday. The race is a race within yourself. You'd always watch your watts and your speed, and not panicking when he was down in those first time splits. What we all thought was kind of a surprise, but like you said, the weather was different, the wind was different. But man, to pull it off with the whole world expecting you to win is even more impressive.
His ride moves him up into second place on GC, 42 seconds down on Tadej Pogačar. Kévin Vauquelin, who we're going to talk about, who had a hell of a ride. This kid has been just sort of getting better and better every year. And the French, I think, for decades have been looking for the next great French rider. I don't think they've necessarily looked at him. When you read all the articles and read all the buzz, he's viewed as a good rider. He's now third in the Tour de France. He had an excellent time trial, finished fifth. And this is a couple years in a row that he's ridden at the front of the race in the Tour, set to leave that team, a relatively small team, relatively small French team set to leave next year. There's a lot of speculation on where he ends up. To me, I think that's sort of a tipping point in his career, depending upon where he goes, the structure, the training, the support. You could see this kid can be...
You'd think a team like AG2R, Decathlon, or now it's just Decathlon, I believe. I mean, they just announced they're going to up their budget to $40 million next year, and they have this young rock star, Sextus.
Paul Sextus. Yeah.
I mean, why would they not go after a guy who's already won a stage of the Tour de France, is sitting in third place overall right now in the Tour de France? You'd think they'd go after him pretty hard. So who knows where he ends up? I mean,
I don't think that is a question. That wouldn't be my question. My question would probably be, why would he go there? I mean, showing the promise that he showed the last 2 years and the progress he showed the last 2 years, I'd go somewhere else.
You wouldn't go to an American team that upped their budget to $40 million? I'd say yes.
I don't know, man. I mean, an Ineos, a Red Bull.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened with Lidl Trek. I mean, when it was just Trek, and all of a sudden Lidl came in with a $20 million injection. Now they're winning pretty much every race they enter, or most races, and they're the top 2, 3, 4 teams in the world. So the money makes a big difference, and I think we're going to see a huge difference in Team Decathlon next year.
I think we all agree, the second biggest takeaway, maybe even close to the biggest headline today, was the disappointing ride from Jonas Vingegaard. He finished 13th on the stage, well down. Right, if you go 13th, he was a minute and 21 behind. It just never looked like he was having a great ride. And I know this is I mean, look, you picked him to win yesterday. I didn't hate that pick. You have to look at this performance and say something's up.
Maybe. I mean, I did hear it said that this is a course that goes against everything that he's good at. It's flat, it was fast, it was very untechnical, but at the same time, you could say the same for Tadej. That was Tadej's worst idea of what a time trial should look like for a performance of the nature that he did today. And he still performed. Tadej always delivers when it matters at the Tour de France. And again, I mean, we haven't spoken about Tadej yet, but leading in 3 categories now in all 3 competitions, it's, to get as close as he did to Remco at the finish line. I mean, again, I said yesterday we're running out of superlatives for this guy, but it's hard to see anyone now dislodging him over the next 2.5 weeks, all being well, crashes, illnesses with the team he has. And now it's back to the drawing board for the likes of Visma, I think, in terms of how they now approach this race in terms of thinking about a win.
Yep, and we're going to talk about that because they do have some options.
Yep.
This isn't. They have options tactically, primarily in and around Matteo Jorgensen. One other fun data point: Tadej Pogačar, from the 3rd time check to the finish, averaged 57 kilometers an hour. I know you were. Yeah. Wondering what the average speed would be. I think they ended up 53.95 kilometers an hour.
Yep.
He rode the last section 57 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, and it kind of goes against what everything that Jonas has said, that he's come into this tour with more power, more muscle. So you think this flat time trial, he wouldn't have lost that much time. He came in last year's Tour de France, like Spencer mentioned, with a way worse preparation, finished 4th in the first time trial. His breakthrough sort of time trial in the Tour de France 4 years ago, he finished 2nd. So this is arguably his worst time trial he's done in a long time. That said, he did say he did his best 1 minute power yesterday on the climb.
Yeah, but that might have something to do with it.
So perhaps
the damage you do from those type of efforts, going into something like this where you've got to ride 33, 34, 35, 6 minutes on that fine line threshold, high end of the threshold.
Yep.
He's going to have paid that price. And that wasn't only there yesterday where we saw him making those kind of efforts. He's been like that since the start. And we did wonder whether he was doing too much at one point.
Yeah.
Well, in the second half of the show, we're going to talk about tomorrow's stage. So just hold that thought.
Yeah.
Right. I hadn't even jumped ahead to tomorrow. And then when I opened the profile, I thought, oh, Lord.
Yeah.
So there's going to be more of that. Right. It's like the Gensu knife. But wait.
That's right. But wait, there's more.
There is more. Another thing that we remarked, and I don't know. I think this is. I think the coverage is distributed to like here in the United States, right? The race is covered on Peacock, and in France it's covered on national television, and Italy, whatever. So on and on and on, right? The feed is distributed from the race, right? And so now, just to back up, you've got an individual time trial. You have guys out there all alone. The cameras are jumping all over the place. There are the time checks. When I look at the profile and I see 3 time checks, I get excited as a spectator. I'm like, oh, cool, right? So let's compare and contrast, right? You got Formula One. There are time checks everywhere, and they are 100% accurate, right? If you watch the game of golf, for example, which the Open is going to start here in another week, it would be like watching a guy on some hole as they jump to him, and you don't know what shot he's hitting. He could be hitting his 2nd. He could be hitting his 8th. We don't know. They were so inaccurate. I mean, to me, as a fan and as a viewer, you're just watching like, how about this just immediately streams?
Yeah.
We were lost. How hard is it, Bradley?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were frustrated, weren't we, watching it? In this day and age, with the technology we have, that that instant feedback would be fantastic in terms of just the basics, like rolling speed and things like that. And it was a shame that it was quite a delay in getting that information today.
Yep.
On a stage that was as exciting as it was.
Yeah, I was following the Tour Tracker. They had better sort of live updates than the coverage. But like you said, that makes it a lot more exciting if you're able to get real time.
But that to me says that they can do it, because that's all coming from the same base.
Yeah.
So
2025, Lance. Of course they can do it.
Yeah, I think that is my point. It is 2025,
and it would be really interesting to hear the radio, against these guys. We did hear some of it, but we didn't how they're talking to Tadej and how they're talking to Jonas and Remco. That would have been super interesting.
So I guess the question for Jonas Vingegaard is, where does he go from here, right? And look, it is early. We've talked a lot especially in the preview show, of how this tour is so weighted when it comes to the high mountains, to the second half of the race. So just keep that in the back of your mind. But if you're him, man, he's on his back foot now, right? He is down the time that he's down. Tomorrow is another hard stage. Where do they go from here? And you don't have to look very far down the list of riders here. And of course, we talk a lot about and are huge fans of Matteo Jorgensen. This is a kid who is on the way up. Speaking of time checks, from time check 3 to the finish, he had the 4th fastest time from T3 to the finish. So he was holding some back and then let it rip. Maybe now they have to play the team game. Jorgensen can climb. Yeah. Jorgensen has experience. Jorgensen is on his way up. I think they're going to have to look at some alternate solutions here strategically.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more a case of where does Visma go from here, because we saw Jonas doing everything in his power the first few days to remain at 0 time to Tadej. I mean, he was right on his back wheel the whole time, finished second to him, finished third up that climb yesterday. When Tadej moved on that climb, Jonas was right on him, and he was doing everything in his powers to minimise losing any time whatsoever. So today he's took a packet of time. So did Jonas expect to be in the position he's in now, or was this anticipated from Jonas? Only Jonas will be able to tell you that. If he expected to get closer to Tadej than he did, or if not beat him, then he's got to now contemplate where do I go from here, and that is a team thing now, because Matteo is right on his heels, and as Matteo has shown this year and last year, he's capable of a podium in this Tour de France. So Visma now really have to think about a 2-pronged attack, which could work either way, but Jonas will have to accept that he's now not the main leader if that's the case. If Jonas says, look, I'm still the leader here and I expect everyone to race for me. We saw the comments made by his wife early in the week. It's going to be interesting where they go from here.
I think he's going to, one, for sure he did not expect to lose that much time, especially coming off the Dauphiné time trial, coming into Tour de France with saying that he was stronger than ever. So I believe he's truly super disappointed after today, but I mean, he's still climbing really well. So far, he's the only one able to follow Tadej. And I still think that they're hoping he reaches his peak after stage 10. That's what I think. And I don't see, even Jorgensen in his comments, although incredible rider, want to see him podium in the Tour de France. That'd be amazing. He's got the talent to podium for sure, but you see some of the interviews that Jorgensen said even yesterday. He said, when you went, I was looking at my numbers and I thought, there's no way I can go. And that's a straight up climb. So once they get those straight up climbs that are 45 minutes long to an hour long, I think the advantage still goes to Jonas.
Yeah, and we're dealing with we're like a broken record. I mean, we are dealing with what might be the best Tadej Pogačar we've seen. I mean, he's and just in control. You kind of just sense it, and that's his vibe. He was in control all across the time trial today.
Well, I wouldn't say the best to Tadej. I mean, he won the time trial last year at the finish, didn't he? Did Remco win it? I'm pretty sure Tadej won it. Tadej won it. So
yeah, but if you're looking at the season, I think we all
season, of course. Yeah,
I mean, he's there's not. You're not seeing any weaknesses.
Yeah.
And then you layer in his team. His team is exceptional.
Yeah. I keep going back to yesterday when it was like the first time he attacked on the final of a climb and didn't ride away from everybody.
Yeah.
That's like the only hope I have, that there's still a chance for, some major competition here in the Tour. But like all indications are that he is by far the best guy, and it's going to be really hard to beat him.
That is the one caveat I had about yesterday, because we sort of bantered about whether or not Jonas's team said, hey, there's 75 meters left of this climb. You have to close the gap and stay with him, and he did. Or was that as hard as Tadej could go, and he sat up a little bit, right? That can also happen. We give him a lot of credit, as we should, but he's also at times has to be human. Right?
Well, he said Jonas said in his interview that he was going way too hard, so he let up a little bit, but then also Pogačar let up a bit. So I think they were both way above their limit.
Okay.
So it kind of equaled out there at the top.
So there's a glimmer of hope.
Yep.
There is. There's always a glimmer.
I tell you, we talked yesterday about Jonas's crank arm length. I never would have thought to look. He was running an exceptionally, from my eyes, a huge chain ring, and it's almost like the crank links didn't extend much past the chain ring. It looked different. And maybe I was just...
I think it was a 60-tooth chainring.
It was a 60 with...
What was the biggest you ever rode?
I rode a 58 at the World Championships.
Yeah.
Oof. I mean, I've ever ridden anything more than 56.
After we flagged it yesterday, I was watching and I thought, okay, now I see it.
Yeah.
Looks, anyways, right quick, we're going to take a break for Peacock. We'll be right back. We got some fun stuff talking about tomorrow and got some cool questions from the listeners. All right, everybody, we are back. I couldn't help but notice, and it took me several hours. It might have been the reason I didn't feel that great on the ride yesterday, because I felt so left out in the wardrobe category here on the team. And I just couldn't, as we were sitting here chatting earlier, I just couldn't help but notice that now my man down there to the left is left out.
I'm left out. I got dumped from riding with you ever again, and I don't get the blue hoodie.
We got the new Foreign Rider hoodies. These things are sick. Foreign Rider.
I love the story of that company.
Yeah, Ralph Dunning, the founder, he had a golf brand before called Dunning and sold that business and then started Foreign Rider. And I bought his sweatpants at a pro shop in Florida. And my wife eventually was like, it's time for you to take off those sweatpants. I mean, it got disgusting.
Yeah.
Right. Started dubbing them the skitties.
Yeah. Now that's all you
know what I'm
all
saying,
you
the
wear is
skitties?
sweatpants now. I've been here for 1 week. You've only have sweatpants on.
Right. That's because they're skitties.
Yeah. Got it.
Skitty up. And so we get to know Ralph, and he makes us. We do kits. We do skitties.
Yeah.
And you,
Ralph, where's my Navy? Where's my Navy?
I think the issue, because you're an XL, right? You XL?
L.
You're an L. So we're both L.
Yeah.
I think production's behind on the extra smalls.
You got it on your chair.
Oh man, you missed that joke, Bradley.
We're going to talk about. Let's split up. We have some good questions, so I want to split them up, and then we'll talk about tomorrow's stage.
I do also want to talk about, like you mentioned, where does Wiesma go from here? If it was me,
talk to us.
And we haven't been able to make a difference in terms of Tadej. Mm-hmm. We're kind of hanging by fourth and fifth place. If it was me, I would hang back until stage 10 now and just try to recover, try to get the team morale back, ride together, don't lose any more time, but just hold back until they hit the big mountains. That's what I would. I think I'd love to hear what Johan thinks about that.
Okay, well, Sir Bradley, you can ask him on y'all's show. I think it's a great idea, but if you do venture ahead in the race book, you'll see tomorrow and you'll see the day after to tomorrow. You can do that, but you still can't lose time.
Yeah, no, you can't lose time.
These are stages where if you chill too much, you're going to lose time.
Yeah.
First question is from Alan, and I'm going to let you take this one, Sir Bradley. How do you fuel for a time trial, or how did you fuel for a time trial at your peak, and how has that changed today? And we talk a lot about how fueling in this peloton has really changed. Right, but there's no, unless I'm missing something, I don't think there's any fueling in the middle of a time trial. But what would be your impression of how they fuel today leading up to the time trial, and what was your strategy?
I'm not too sure what they do today, but 12 years ago, 14 years ago, I was your race meal was the same 3 hours before.
Yep.
1 hour and a half before, we take sodium bicarbonate, which is a lactate buffer. Mm-hmm. And a gel before your warm-up, which is predominantly 25 grams of carbohydrate, a gel after your warm-up, and then I'd have 2 up my shorts because I had no pockets in my suit. If it was a long time trial, I would have 2. If it was a day like today, 33 kilometers, you'd still want to take 1 gel 10 minutes into the time trial. And that carb would then come through your system in the next 20, 30 minutes after that. So that was my strategy. I imagine that hasn't changed much because days like today is just pure carb burning.
30K time trial. Are you drinking anything on the time trial?
A big swig of something, yeah.
Just one big swig and you chuck it or put it back?
So a very concentrated carbohydrate mix.
Okay. But so only one swig, like halfway?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Just parched.
Yeah, the idea is you're well hydrated before that.
Yeah.
Today's show also brought to you by Ketone IQ, also our presenting sponsor each and every day. We talk a lot about the use of ketones in the peloton. The interesting update is they've really upped their game on flavor and other options. There are caffeinated options and multiple flavor options, which to me has been amazing. Even my wife is hammering these things at home like, this tastes better. And absolutely works. Also, a lot of science and research going behind the use of ketones. The numbers don't lie, right? An improvement of 19% in peak power, 13% in peak power, 19% in sprint power, cutting fatigue, spiking blood ketones. They've also recently teamed up with Team Visa, Lisa Bike, and KU Leuven soccer club in Belgium. A lot of the research on both of those programs. Take your shot. Get 30% off your subscription plus a free gift with your second shipment at ketone.com/themove. Last one of the day, it is time for the timeline. As someone who's trained hard most of my life, I've learned that real performance doesn't just come from the gym. It starts at the cellular level. That's why I take MitoPure by Timeline. It's a supplement that supports cellular energy by helping your body renew its mitochondria. Look that up, George.
I will.
I'll just tell you what it is. Sneak peek. Those tiny powerhouses inside your cells that start to slow down as you age. The science is strong. MitoPure is clinically shown to improve muscle strength in just a few months. And it supports healthy aging at the cellular level, which is something I care more and more about each and every year. Head on over to timeline.com/themove to get started. That's timeline.com/themove. That gets you 20% off your order. Where was I going with this? Let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow stage? Or do we want to do this? Let's do tomorrow stage because I'm excited about these, right? Some of these days you're like, what's tomorrow? You open it up, board, flat, field, sprint. I got to be honest. I'm like, I'll sleep in a little bit.
Tomorrow's going to be a lot
tomorrow's
like yesterday.
Nasty. All right, if you look at, let's pull up tomorrow's profile. Now just, and again, you just look at the profile. It looks like a saw blade. You can look at the very top. Total elevation gain, this is in meters, 3,550 meters. That is 11,000 feet. Right? I think in your mind, if you hear 11,000 feet, you think they're already in the mountains. This is far, far from the mountains. Right? It's just it's never flat, 11,000 vertical feet of climbing. And then if you zoom in to the final 10 kilometers, more or less, 13 kilometers, look at this finish. And you said it, Sir Bradley. I mean, as soon as I showed you that, you said, "Whoop, another stage for Tadej."
Yeah.
I mean, look at that finish. It's 14 pieces of 14%. On average, the final 700 meters is 10.2% to the finish line. I mean, it is perfect for him. Yeah. So, and then back to what you said, George. I'm totally with you. Like at this point, you're like, "All right, guys, we got to play possum."
Yeah.
But you can play possum most of the day. You can't play possum with a final of 700 meters at over 10%.
So, question is, will Tadej's team control it? You know, because that's a
question.
Big ass sixth stage of the Tour de France. They have 15 stages to go. Tadej's on great form. Super confident that once he reaches the mountains, he'll be able to get it back if they decide to let it go. I mean, I'm thinking they let a breakaway go, and a breakaway wins this. I would be really surprised if they put UAE on the front to control that. Maybe Alpecin wants to control it for Evenepoel, but I don't know. I can't envision that. And think about this.
I don't hate that.
Think about this. There's guys today that, they had to ride steady pretty hard, but some of them lost 6-7 minutes. So these guys that want to make tomorrow's breakaway, they were very conscientiously trying to recover today. Just ride the time trial. Spin the legs out, openers for tomorrow. They're going to be starting this stage. I mean, full gas war to make that breakaway. Fresh legs. They're going to be going all out.
Well, here's what we'll do. I'm going to throw it to Spencer, get his views on whether or not a breakaway can go and stay away. But first, Sir Bradley, breakaway go and stay away?
I'm going for Tadej again. And I think the natural speed of the peloton will make it difficult but there's the nervousness again. Everyone's going to want to be in the front again. And with these climbs all day, I just don't think we're far enough into the race yet for everyone to just have a tranquil day. I think it's going to be game on tomorrow.
And let's not forget, so typically these breakaways it's a really hard, punchy, lumpy first start there. But I believe 20K in, you have the one and only point sprint of the day. So like you said, that's just going to naturally make the speed a lot higher. So even if a breakaway gets away in the first 10K, right, the speed of the sprinters behind going for this point sprint is going to bring them back. So even, yeah, I mean, it can go either way. I think the breakaway will go, but like you said, there is going to be a really high pace.
And I spent a lot of time thinking about this last night because I've always, when I think about Spencer, he really is. He's like certainly the smartest person sitting down here in this studio. And I call him, I just sort of flippant. The propeller head. Yeah, that's funny. I started thinking, is that mean? Should I not say that? It feels a little.
Do you not hear the shit you say to me? And you're worried about propeller head?
I know, but I've known you a long time. Spencer's been in my life for, I don't know, a handful of years. And I'm not lying. I did have a moment last night. I thought, that feels a little harsh. And I thought, well, what else, can I call him? Right. And I'm maybe like Professor, right? Professor Martin. Is that Spencer? You can tell me. But anyhow, I'm curious what Professor Martin thinks about it. But Professor, do you think that a breakaway can get away and stay away tomorrow?
I've got to admit, I haven't really considered it a breakaway day, but I agree with Bradley. I think the pace is going to be so high. These guys are so keyed up. They're so early in the race. And then you look at the GC, like the gaps are massive already. Like let's look at Tobias Holland Johansson. He's almost 4 minutes back. Like what happens if he gets in the move? That's not going to be given a lot of room to go. And then that's, people are going to start chasing to defend their potential 10th place on GC. I just think it's going to be hard for them to get the room. The question is who works? Is UAE really going to get on the front and set the pace? That seems like they probably want to get rid of the jersey if possible.
Yeah,
but
I would think.
But I think someone steps forward. That we see this. Johan and I talk about this all the time on outcomes. Like you just see it over and over again where people don't you're like, why would they work? But they end up doing it anyway.
So Spencer, I know Johan, for instance, would want a guy like Tobias on stage 6 to take the yellow jersey. Why? He's got a super strong team that can essentially sit on the front for the next week and keep the yellow jersey. And 2, Pogačar will put minutes on him on the first mountain day. So if it was me, and I know Johan would do the same thing, would want a guy like that to take the yellow jersey for 5, 6, 7 stages, just to relieve his squad and take the pressure off.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know what Johan would do. And it's too hard. The finish is too hard for Van der Poel. 700 meters at over 10%. It's a question.
No, I wouldn't say it's too hard for him. He'll certainly be in the mix if he wanted to be. But he's had a tough couple of days.
Thinking about yesterday.
Yeah, he's had a couple.
If it were yesterday, I think he didn't have the legs to do that.
I think it's you can't put anything past him. And the way he's riding, if he's there. He was next to Tadej. He was the strongest guy. I mean, Tadej, Jonas, and Van der Poel were the strongest guys on these shorter, steep climbs.
And not to get ahead of ourselves, but if you are Matthew Van der Poel, tomorrow might be a day where you say, look, this is probably not perfect for me. Day after, 2 times up the Mur de Bretagne is perfect for him. So slight day off, focus 2 days from now.
Well, I mean, Mur de Bretagne is just as hard as this stuff if you look at it. So I think the next 2 days are perfect for Van der Poel if he decides to go for the win.
Second question of the day, which I think is came in from Simon. This is a great question, and I'm gonna send it to you, Sir Bradley. Amazing. How many tours do you think Indurain would have won in today's era of short individual time trials?
I mean, it's a good question. And there's some plausibility in the argument that Miguel may not have won 5. But there was also a misconception about Miguel Indurain that
I know exactly where you're going.
He won the Tour in the time trials.
Right.
And I'd recommend anyone go back and watch some stages, particularly the 1994 Tour de France, where he gets beat in the last time trial by Peter Ugrimov in the mountain time trial. That year, he stamped his authority in that Tour de France on OÖTCOMES and rode from the front, dropped Pantani, Chiappucci, Virenque, Dufault. The only person who stayed with him was Luc Leblanc. 1995, he attacked at Liège with Johan Bruyneel, the only one who could stay on his wheel.
Rode him right off.
Right off the wheel. Everyone was like, what's going on here? It was Pogačar-esque. The next day he suffered in the time trial. Huita Serang, he won by 5 seconds ahead of Bjarne Riis, so he suffered in that one. You know, and then 1995 Tour de France also, Zola did a massive break in the mountains to La Plagne, and Indurain the gap was quite big, and Zola looked like he was going to take the Tour from them all. Indurain got on the front at the bottom of La Plagne and rode the whole race off his wheel. This guy was extraordinary, and you can only train to the demands of the event. If the time trials weren't in there, Miguel would have changed his strategy, but Miguelon, numero uno.
He was a fantastic climber. Fantastic. For sure.
Nice guy too. He was always really nice.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And I've heard, or Johan's been keeping me apprised. He's back on the bike. He's doing all these fondos. He's kicking people's asses in these fondos. Can you imagine that? You just roll up some fondo, like Mallorca, these huge fondos. Big Mig shows up.
And we did an 1.5-hour ride yesterday, and you said you never want to ride with me again. Can you explain that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyways, you're right. Class guy. And I'm with you, Sir Bradley. Like, easy to look at him and say, see the size certainly compared to the other guys, and think, well, he's not a climber. He was, many of those years, he was not only a good climber, he was the best climber.
Yeah.
So it is a great question, Simon.
So was he your inspiration when you were winning the Tour?
Yeah, without doubt. Yeah, and I'd said on TV, on Spanish TV, during the 2012 Tour that Miguel was my hero, and I modelled myself on him. Miguel sent me his, they do for the bull run, these red stars with neckerchiefs, and the family emblem on it, and signed it, which is a huge honour to receive.
That's amazing.
Wow,
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I still have it.
Running of the bulls.
Yeah, so they have their own family crest on these, when they all wear these handkerchief things that go out when they're running the bull, and he gave me his family one. It's like a real honour to receive that. So yeah, Miguel, and he came to my hour record. Cool. He was trackside when I broke the hour record.
Oh, that's awesome.
And what a guy.
What a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy. Also, to start to wrap up the show, we've got our Ventum Daily Trivia. Yesterday's question, while not a famous summit in the Tour, Stage 4 features the Côte Jacques Anquetil, a 2.6 category 4 climb named after the great French cyclist Jacques Anquetil. What two things did Anquetil accomplish to get this climb named in his honor? First was he won the Tour de France 5 times, so that, he probably should get a couple climbs named after himself. And he was also the first to do the Giro Tour double. First ever. Question for today for the Ventum Trivia of the day. The Stage 5 individual time trial would have been a likely boon for time trial specialist Sir Bradley Wiggins. How many total Grand Tour individual time trial stages did he win over the course of his career? Grand Tour time trial victories.
Is that including team time trials?
Individual.
Just individual. Okay.
Individual.
Closing the name.
And so that is the question of the day. We were just kind of chatting before the show, and you brought up, as you do many days, a fun fact. Bernardino won 20
individual time trials.
I, of course, had no idea how many time trials I won. Spencer, somebody looked it up.
11.
11.
Yep.
I was going to say 8.
2 of which were prologues.
I mean, I can't even remember, and somebody told me an hour ago. 11. That's kind of cool. Send us your questions. These are 2 good ones today. Thanks, Alan and Simon. Send those questions to info@wedö.team. info@wedö.team. And we will be back tomorrow for an exciting day. I love it. I love looking ahead and seeing this and going, can't wait to get up and watch that. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.